See? There's a reason.
I don't know what it is. All right, guys.
All right, welcome everybody to our Board of Education meeting for the month of December. Happy to see all of our students and educators of the month here. I'm excited to recognize you guys. Before we do, let me just read the open public meeting statement. We'll do the pledge of allegiance and then we'll get to the fun stuff. So, the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to advance notice of and to attend meetings of public bodies, at which time any business affecting their interests is discussed and acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this Act and Board of Education Policy 0162, the Board of Education of the Borough of Bound has caused notice of this meeting to be posted in the board office at Bound High School and mailed or faxed to the Courier News, Bound Borough Clerk, South Bound Board of Education, and any person who has requested individual notice and paid the required fee. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Gorski, roll call, please. Certainly. Mr. Bell.
Here.
Mr. Dawson.
Here.
Ms. Gazino.
Here.
Ms. Carlton.
Here.
Mr. Zupko. Here. Ms. Wilson.
I have arrived.
Mr. Menhouse. Ms. Hyde. Mr. Vollmer. Here. And Mr. Josie. Here. Mr. Board President, you have a quorum present this evening. Thank you, Mr. Gorski. For my president's comments this evening, I will just be brief and recognize the wonderful gifts that each of you board members should have received this evening. They are the courtesy of our high school robotics team, who used the 3D printer and CNC machine to develop some ornaments for us. So some hard work and action from our robotics team, and I'd like to give my thanks on behalf of the board for the fine gift. And with that, let me turn over to Dr. Freeman for the superintendent's report.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our December board meeting, our last before the start of the new year. Thankfully, we get to celebrate some of our wonderful students and staff before we go on break. So I'd like to start with our students of the month. I'd like to call up Dr. S. for the students of the month for the Lamont School.
Congratulations to Ariella LeBron. She is in our preschool program. Her teacher's name is Ms. Sebastian. She has one sister. Her favorite school subjects are painting and writing. Her favorite hobby is playing with friends. When she grows up, she wants to become a chef. Congratulations, Ariella. Congratulations to Liam Gomez Espidia. He's in kindergarten. His teacher's name is Ms. Jorge. His favorite school subject is math. His favorite hobby is playing with Legos. When he grows up, he wants to become a police officer. Congratulations, Liam.
Liam, come on down. Look at that smile.
Good job.
Congratulations to Gracelyn Ramirez. She is in first grade. Her teacher's name is Miss Forgats. She has one sister and one brother. Her favorite school subjects are math and music. Her favorite hobby is cheerleading. When she grows up, she wants to become a kindergarten teacher.
And next up for our students from Lafayette School, Ms. Casillas.
Our second grade student of the month is Ayana Kilpatrick.
Come on down.
She is from Miss Amarisi's class. She has 2 brothers and 3 sisters. Her favorite subject is math. Her favorite hobby is cheerleading, and she wants to become a teacher when she grows up. Congratulations, Ayana.
All right, congratulations.
Our third grade student of the month is Marjorie Mojica Arriaga. She's from Mrs. Pellegrino's class. She has 2 brothers. She loves to read. She says it's fun to read. Her favorite hobbies are gymnastics, jump rope, playing music, and dance, and she also wants to be a teacher when she grows up. Congratulations, Marjorie.
All right.
Another round of applause for our seniors from Lafayette School. And next up for Spalding School, we have Mrs. Winter.
So our fourth grade student of the month from Ms. Diaz's class is Gabriela Galindo Guzman.
Come on down.
She is from Ms. Diaz's class. She has a 4-year-old brother. Her favorite subject is reading. She likes to play with her brother, specifically hide and seek. She likes to color, and she wants to be a lawyer when she grows up.
All right.
Our 5th grade student of the month from Ms. Gonzalez's class is Samantha Salas Manobanda. So Samantha has 2 brothers. Her favorite subject is math. She loves drawing and crafts, and she wants to be an art teacher.
One more.
And our 6th grade student of the month is Nicholas Lynch. Tonight, he has 2 sisters. His favorite subject is gym. He loves to play soccer and basketball, and he either wants to be a doctor or a lawyer.
All right. A round of applause for our strong sports students of the month. And next up for Community Middle School, Dr. Santa Serva.
Good evening, everyone. The Community Middle School is proud to recognize as its first nominee, Juan Pablo Mendez. Congratulations, bud. Well done. Juan Pablo was nominated by his teacher, Miss Esposito. Has an older brother, an older sibling. Favorite subject is language arts. And Juan Pablo loves playing chess and watching motivational videos on YouTube. When he grows up, and I like this one, he grows up, wants to be a scientist, astronaut, or in your words, maybe a normal job, like in retail or a restaurant. Love it. Congratulations. Well done. The next nominee from the Community Middle School, Natasha Miranda. Natasha was nominated by her teachers, Mrs. Barrows and Mrs. Gonda. Natasha has 3 older siblings. Favorite subject is math, which I always find it interesting. It's like the language arts teacher nominates the kids that like math and vice versa, right? Favorite hobbies is loving to play with their brother, drawing and watching movies. And when Natasha grows up, wants to be an architect.
Next up, EBHS, Mr. Smith.
Good evening. Navbrook High School is pleased to recognize the Crusader Citizens of the Month for the month of December. Our first recipient, Michelle Santamaria. Michelle has no siblings and is an only child. Her favorite subject in school is AP Spanish and makeup design through the RVCC Workforce Learning Program. She enjoys reading books, drawing, and coloring. Her career plans are to become a software engineer. Our next recipient is Emily Batista. Emily has 2 brothers, Brian and Denny. Her favorite subject in school is science because it fosters curiosity about the world around us. She likes to go on walks and baking new things as well as listening to podcasts. Her career plans are to attend a four-year university and study neuroscience, followed by medical school and residency to hopefully become a pediatric neurologist.
All right.
Our next recipient, Bianca Lopez. Bianca has two siblings, Ariana Lopez and Kayla Lopez. Her favorite subject in school is math. Her favorite hobbies include walking, listening to music, swimming, and exploring new places. In the future, she would like to study finance, business, and/or economics. Last but certainly not least, the man, the myth, the legend, John Paul Gonzalez. John Paul has one sibling, Giancarlos. His favorite subject in school is Spanish. His favorite hobbies include the sport of wrestling, and in the future, he's going to join the Army. So,
Ready? Big smile, 1, 2, 3. One more. Big smile, 1, 2, 3. Oh, one more. Hold on, one more. Big smile, 1, 2, 3. There we go.
all right,
Last
thank you.
round of applause for Mount High School students of the month. And at this time, I'd like to call Dr. S to come forward to recognize our district employee of the month.
Congratulations to Mrs. Kilgore on being selected as a District Employee of the Month for her outstanding contributions to our school community. As a dedicated mentor to new teachers, she constantly goes above and beyond, providing guidance, support, and encouragement to help them navigate their first years with confidence. Ms. Kilgore's expertise and her readiness to assist whenever needed make her an invaluable resource, fostering a positive and supportive environment for everyone. Her strong communication with parents ensures they are well-informed and involved, building trust and enhancing the overall educational experience. Mrs. Kilgore also played an important role in implementing the Connect for Learning curriculum, providing helpful feedback that was key to its successful use. Her leadership and commitment to improve the curriculum has been essential to its growth. Whatever collaborating colleagues, supporting parents, or assisting individual teachers, Mrs. Kilgore is always ready to help. She's truly a team player who constantly goes above and beyond for the betterment of our entire school community. Congratulations, Mrs. Kilgore. Your contributions are deeply appreciated, and we are grateful for everything you do.
Another round of applause for Mrs. Kilgore. Okay, at this time, will all parents and students of the month please proceed to the stage where we will take a group picture.
Then everybody, since they're little guys, we start with Greek and of course the parents are. You guys can come right in front, make two rows. We're not the important
Make
people
sure the
here,
camera
we're
gets
the
you.
important people in front, that's you. Yeah, we're gonna have to slide to the right a little bit, there's still a few more. I don't know how much slide we can do. Hiding behind something.
Everybody ready? 1, 2, 3, quick smile. One more. 1, 2, 3, quick smile. All right.
Nice job.
She said he was awesome. She said he was really, really good. I can change it.
Yeah, like mom too.
So parents, we're going to have a brief 2-minute recess. If you'd like to take pictures with any of the teachers or administrators that are here, please do. And then we'll get started with the remainder of the meeting. So 2 minutes.
It's just different. College is not. I know. First of all, I wouldn't. 4 hours. Maybe 4 hours, maybe not 4 hours. Yeah, that's right. They turn out to forever. And you know, I guess you're watching TV. You're just sitting there watching it.
You're right.
Oh, this is a typical one.
For now. Just wait.
I love how you have to plotting.
See the light.
Exactly.
I really wasn't that strong on either side. So it's like some censorship. Rushing around.
All right, why don't we go ahead and read the of the agenda item 2.3. This is a presentation by Ms. Hutchinson. So totally the floor is yours, and we're looking forward to the presentation.
And actually, Mr. Ed Smith will also be presenting.
Ms. Nelson, on your side, can you guys see okay?
Is everybody good? Everybody can see? So good evening. We're going to present the information, the results from the alternate access testing for our special education multilingual learners. And also, Mr. Smith and I will be talking about the grading guidance that was put into effect for our multilingual learners as of 4 weeks ago. Right?
Yeah.
It was 4 weeks ago. Yes. So we're very excited about that as well. So the alternate access, the WIDA alternate access is a large-scale English language proficiency test for students in grades K-12 with the most significant cognitive disabilities. The evaluation criteria, it determines the English proficiency of each student. It is a different test than the regular access test, taking into consideration the students that need to take it. It compares the standards that framework that it uses the WIDA standards, the 5 main standards plus the proficiency level descriptors. And the target audience are, again, students with disabilities. The purpose is to monitor the English proficiency progress throughout their years. What we get from the alternate access report is their proficiency levels. It does have a different scale than the regular access test, where in the regular access test, we might get like a 3.2, 2.8. The alternate access gives us whole numbers only from 1 to 5, and instead of being 1 to 6 as well. The composite score includes the oral language, literacy, and comprehension scores, provides a whole number reflecting student performance, and explains what the students can do with the English at those specific levels for each domain. This is a sample individual student report. As you can see, it's 1 through 5, and the alternate access proficiency levels are unique. A student who scores, for example, a proficiency level of 1 on the alternate score is not necessarily performing at the same level that a student, multilingual learner taking the regular access test would perform at those levels as well. So it's different, and it is also a one-on-one assessment with the student. Last year, we had 4 students in our whole district to take the alternate access test. One was a student in kindergarten. The proficiency level for that student is level 1. The other 3 students were from the high school. So 2 of the students scored a proficiency level of 1, and 1 student scored a proficiency level of 5. So that is actually the highest that that student could score. We don't have the cut scores yet from the educational organizations. So they asked also, since it was new last year and they revised it, they asked for us not to compare from the previous years to last year because it's 2 different tests. But in the previous year, also no students took the alternate test in Boundbrook. So grading guidance for MLs. We needed to implement grading guidance for our MLs to ensure that grades accurately reflect students' content knowledge and skills rather than their English proficiency. This approach promotes equity, supports their academic progress, and aligns with the best practices for fair and inclusive assessment. Just a little background about the subgroups that we have for our MLs at the high school. We have a subgroup of long-term multilingual learners. Those are students that have been identified as multilingual learners and have been in the program for 6 or more years. Their conversational English is usually pretty fluent. So if you are having students, you would think, wow, they are totally fluent in the English language. But their content is not at that same level. So they struggle academically, and hence they become long-term multilingual learners, because the access test, as you might remember from my previous presentation, not only does it give us the proficiency of language, but it also, they get assessed in the grade level standards for every single grade. So it's really hard to pass that test if the students actually don't understand the content. These students may be disproportionately identified as having special education needs at times and enrolled in lower level classes, remedial courses, non-credit bearing electives, or classes that do not count toward a college preparation degree. The contributing factors for this subgroup is sometimes a learning disability, the accruing effects of circumstances such as poverty, frequent moving from district to district, sometimes from state to state, and the lack of appropriate supports in elementary and middle school. The second subgroup that we have at the high school are newcomer students with interrupted formal education. These students are recent arrivals in the United States, and they might have gaps of like 2 or more grade levels in their academic growth, and not necessarily just the 2 previous grades before they got to the high school. It could be at any grade span. And then those students have less than grade level equivalent education in their home country. They may have lower literacy in their native language as well, which makes it even harder for them to attain the content, because even if they were to understand it and read and write in their native language, that would be a benefit to them to understand the content. But because they lack that, it's often kind of like, more difficult for them. The third subgroup that we have at the high school are newcomer students who are at or close to grade level. We actually have seen more students in the past couple of months coming in that subgroup, which is very interesting. We normally don't see that, but it's good because they're able to be placed at a higher level ESL course, so they can go into ESL 2 and at times have gone into an ESL 3 class. And then they can actually understand the content with supports if they're provided. So they also enter our US schools with high school transcripts that are transferable to our grading system and our graduation credits. The fourth group, subgroup are progressing MLs. These are the students that enter U.S. schools in late elementary or middle school as multilingual learners. They are on track to exit the multilingual status within the typical 4 to 7 year timeframe. So all throughout the whole United States, these are the subgroups, but we do have every single one of those four subgroups represented at our high school. So as of today, we have 155 multilingual learners at the high school. 65 of those 155 students have been in the program for 3 or more years. And I put the breakdown there from 3 years all the way to, we have 2 students in the high school that have been in the program for 10 years. Those students are sophomores right now, and they entered the bilingual program at a kindergarten level. And they're still multilingual learners. They cannot pass that access test. Although we are making some gains with all the students, this is what happens when we don't meet their needs early on in their educational trajectory. So how have we equipped our teachers to get them ready for all these subgroups of students at the high school? We provided programs that are beneficial to our MLs, professional development, tools, and a bilingual and ESL instructional coach. We have the high intensity ESL, which we provide 2 periods of ESL for our students. One is aligned to the world language standards, and the second period is aligned to the English language arts standards. And they do get credit for world language and for English language arts with those classes. And then apart from that, we apply for a waiver to have that test because we don't have full-time bilingual at the high school. And we are required just to have those 2 classes for high intensity ESL to be in compliance, but we go a little bit beyond that, which I think is why we're seeing a lot of academic success with our students. We also provide sheltered instruction classroom settings where the teachers have or are being trained in sheltered English instruction practices so that the students can comprehend that content that they might not be ready for due to their language proficiency. And then, so our students receive those 2 supports at the high school. The sheltered instruction, professional development, as you know, we started this training last year, and to date, we have trained 139 staff members throughout the whole district. Every year in October, we have a cohort or 2 cohorts of the new teachers that were just hired or that might have been hired at the middle of the previous year or after the training had begun. So we do have a list where we track every teacher to make sure that they get that training. So 139 today, and total staff in the district is about 254, so we're kind of halfway there. And the teachers also, when they attend the training, they get a lot from it and are very excited when we can just hand over tons of resources and tools for them. So we also provided the teachers with training and the resources of Can-Do descriptors. Those Can-Do descriptors actually benefit the teachers as well as administration, anybody who's going in, observing the teachers. For the educators, they can use them to differentiate the curriculum, instruction, and assessments based on what the students can produce at each of those levels. For the administrators and school leaders, they're useful for communication with other educators about the language proficiency and also to be aware of the needs of the students at those schools. They support the We Are Can-Do philosophy throughout schools and districts as well. We also have Linkit, which is our data storage. Is that the word? Warehouse, there we go. So it's our data warehouse where the teachers have also been trained to go in there. They can look up any of their students from, well, not kindergarten because we wouldn't have any information for that, but from first grade all the way through 12th grade. They can look up their students. They can see the previous year's performance on the access test. And it also provides a lot more, but another highlight is that it also provides a proficiency level, like when would they, like a prediction of like when they're going to be attaining proficiency. So some of them are 2 years, some of them might be 3 years, so on and so forth, depending on their performance. So the teachers have been trained, like I said, to use that, and they are taking advantage of that. They have the reports, growth projections, and they can also use this tool to plan differentiated instruction based on domain-specific proficiency levels. They can use them to monitor progress and evaluate program effectiveness and share accessible reports with stakeholders. And everybody then is looking at the same data when it comes to like the supports that the students need. And then one of the other supports is we have Mary Pekoska, our ESL and bilingual instructional coach at the high school, who is diligently working with every single teacher and is very, So teachers are reaching out, especially when we have the sheltered instruction training. They learn about what she can help them with. So they make appointments with her. She goes in their classrooms. Whatever they need, she provides for them. So provide job-embedded professional development. She goes in, she can model and demonstrate best practices for the teachers, offer non-evaluative feedback on a regular basis if they ask for that. And she's, site-based teacher leader who supports both the teachers and the students. So she also is very aware of every single multilingual learner at the high school. She probably knows their access scores by memory. She also can create an environment where students needs drive the professional development that the teachers might need, offer guidance and feedback at the exact time that teachers need it the most, which is one of the best benefits of having a coach there and available. She can also inspire teachers to try new learning strategies and use tools and facilitate the transition from teacher-centered learning to student-centered learning. So now Mr. Smith will wrap up and take all that information, putting it all together, what does that mean for MLs at the high school?
Thank you, Ms. Heisterman, I appreciate it. Okay, so, just the thought of like being dropped in another country, visiting another country and expected to perform up to what all, the native-born speakers are expected to do. It's really an unfair expectation. And, what we've been seeing as a high school administration is our multilingual learners failing 5, 6 classes with, 5s, 10s, 7s. Now, several years ago, we kind of scratched the surface with, not a policy, but a procedure for grading the MLs, but it never really came to fruition. So this year, myself, Ms. Heisterman, Mr. Cleary, and Ms. Larson, we kind of sat together and we really worked through looking at different school districts and their procedures and looking at the state documents. And we had come up with a procedure that's going to work for us, but it's in compliance and aligned with what the expectation is from the state. So in terms of our procedure, providing equitable and supportive grading practices to the students. Again, it goes back to, you have students that speak 0 of, the English language, and just to expect them to perform. I mean, some of our students, think about this, went to school in like a mountainous region of Mexico. They don't even speak Spanish in some cases. And, they're coming to school and they're dealing with Chromebooks and textbooks and, this high level rigor that we've been pushing here at the high school. And we were seeing, ultimately, they were being set up to be unsuccessful. okay? So we were looking at a way to, bridge that gap and to break down the barriers for our students to be, graded appropriately and, okay? So, I'm not gonna read through all the different slides, as you can see right here. So, Claudia had talked about can-do descriptors and things that us as administrators observe in the classroom. You can see that teachers are modeling this approach and utilizing these can-do descriptors students. Ms. Petkovska, she did a PD at one of our faculty meetings on using the fingertip files. We've been pushing data, at the high school, and it's, I talked to Dr. Freeman about this. Sometimes it's uncomfortable, and in all fairness, I think, we may have come up a little short assuming that teachers know how to use data to drive instruction, and that's not always the case. So that's been like an instructional focus of ours at the high schools, focusing on data to drive instruction, using higher level questioning, but at the same time, we need to be fair to the multilingual learners to make sure that they're being graded equitably and that we're setting them up for success. So this is basically the rubric that we had come up with. So for your levels, it says level 1 to level 3.5, and then you're going to see level 2.0 to 5.5. It's not a clean break because it depends. You have some students that may blow it out of the water in testing for listening, but their reading skills may be, deficient or lacking. So that's why there's some overlap, because it's individualized per student instead of just making a cookie cutter 1s and 2s this, and then 3s and 4s, 5s and 6. Levels 5s and 6s will be graded this way. There is some overlap because, like you had said, there's a student that has been a multilingual learner since kindergarten, and is still a multilingual learner at this point, where other students, they progress pretty quickly through the program and they're able to exit and then go into regular education classes, but with support, okay? So if you see here, a student is given a passing grade, so it's a P or an F, passing or failing, obviously. But in order for them to pass, they need to be prepared, they need to come to work, they need to, complete, the work to the best of their ability, communicate or try to communicate at least, how they're feeling, obviously in English, because we're trying to obviously promote literacy amongst the students. They're attentive during instruction. So basically, they're doing what they need to do in the classroom, and we're teaching them how to be students. Is it really fair to grade them numerically? And again, as we saw, 5, 6, 7 classes failed because of the old approach that is being utilized because teachers just didn't know. So we put this document together, we sent it out to our staff, and we've seen a tremendous amount of growth in one marking period. Usually when you're changing procedures, it's a multi-year process. With changing the grading structure for the multilingual learners, I mean, you're going to see the data in a moment. It's kind of astounding how much growth has been made just in one marking period. So I'm excited to see marking periods 2, 3, and 4 and how we're going to fare for the duration of the school year. So looking here, we have comments in Genesis that teachers are expected to include on a report card once the multilingual learners are given a P or an F. So you see here, pass-fail due to language proficiency, that will go on the report card. For this level here, working with ESL test modifications, and then test modifications limited to 1.5 time and bilingual dictionary, that would go on the report card as well. So P or F here, you can still give a P or F here depending on that level, remember, because there's overlapping levels right here, but ultimately you can give students that fall in this 2.0 to 5.5 a standard grade, but it needs to be modified work. Again, you're not going to give a multilingual learner, a 5-page essay. You need to make modifications and take a look at those can-do descriptors, as Claudia had spoken about, earlier in the presentation right there, to determine what to expect from the students in order to gain proficiency. And then finally here, this is when students progress through the program and they're, level 6, which is, exiting. They're fluent in English, literacy, they can read, they can write, they can speak, they can listen in the English language. So they're given a standard grade as well. And it's, God bless you, it's comparable to his or her peers. So again, students that are just trying, to make things work and they're participating the best they could to their ability. This next tier here is giving standard grades, but with modified work. And then in this final tier, that's the highest tier. It's like a pyramid, the lowest, the middle, and then the high. This highest tier here, that's, you're basically grading students with some minor modifications, but mostly that's, the same as their peers. So let's take a look at the data. Okay. So 2023-24, this is marking period 1. There was 140 students categorized as multilingual learners last year, okay? Of that, 98 students failed classes. So that 70% of them are multilingual learners failed a class last year. So we break it down even further. Failed one class was 34%. So think about that, 2/3 of our students, multilingual learners, failed one or more classes. I mean, it was at this point we realized like something has to change. We need to implement some sort of strategy or grading procedure that is going to be beneficial to the students. Now here, well, let me go over 24-25 first. So overall, so we had 150, so there was 15 students, multilingual learners added from last year to this year, okay? Of that, 69 students failed. So we had more students categorized as multilingual learners, but we had less students fail than we did last year. So 45% of the students had failed a course. Now, this is a little deceiving, so I don't want you to be alarmed. Last year, 34% failed one class. This year, 59% failed one class. So what does that mean? Last year, 66% of the students failed more than one class. This year, for marking period 1, 41% failed more than one class. So you see a drastic decline. That is what? That's, let's see, 50, what is that? 9 plus 15% drop, right? No, 25% drop, yes. So it's 25 from here to here and 25 from there to there. So the number of kids, when I would run data in the past, I would see the same student 5 different times. This year, it's, you may have a student, individual students. Is it perfect? No, but for one marking period, to see this much growth, it was really, I thought personally, was a tremendous accomplishment. Now, here you have total percent, all right, so these are courses right here that are categorized as ESL or bilingual courses. This is the overall, but this is specific to those classes that are ESL, bilingual, or multilingual learners. So of those classes, 62% of the kids failed. So you had 89 kids out of 143 enrolled in the ESL bilingual courses that failed. That was 62%. This year, you had 43 students out of 291.
The courses.
That was, yeah, they're the total courses that the students are enrolled in. So it was 15%. So as you can see right there, 62% to 15%, which is huge. And I think, once teachers feel more comfortable, and you saw the numbers, how many of our teachers are being trained in sheltered instruction. Ms. Petkovska is pushing into classes. And, initially, once things catch on, everyone doesn't have to buy in, but once people are hearing what Ms. Petkovska is doing for them and helping them with the tools and the strategies to set their multilingual learners up, and even to set the teachers up to be successful in educating the multilingual learners, we're really moving, the needle to the right and moving in a positive direction. So I'm really excited, and hopefully maybe by marking period 2 or even by the end of the year, we can give you all the data from the entire year to see the growth from marking period to marking period. Okay? All right, so kind of just talked about it, not even going over it, but here you go. So the MLs increased from 140 to 155 over a year. The percentage of multilingual learners failing courses dropped significantly from 70%, 98 students, to 60, to 69 students, which is 45% in 1 year. Shifts in failure patterns, so the proportion of students failing only one course increased by 25%. But on the other hand, you had students failing multiple courses decreased by 25%, indicating a positive shift, as I discussed. The specific metrics for what we took a look at, 23-24, 34% of them now failed one course, 66% failed more than one, and then 24-25, 59% of failing students failed one course, and 41% of students failed more than one course. So obviously, there's still challenges that we're dealing with, but I think teachers, administrators, we're becoming more comfortable collaborating and working to set the kids up for success. Okay? Thank you. Skip one.
Well, I just wanted to add, at the end, like, none of that would have been possible if there was no collaboration between administrators, the support from the board, Dr. Freeman, everyone. I mean, all of us had to be on the same page to have a success like this, which for me, it's, you know, it's just incredible because our students, we were talking today that in a little while, we're really going to see the impact that just that change is going to have and how the students even feel about themselves and what they can accomplish. So I'm just grateful and I'm proud that we can work as a team. And it's not all the time that someone can feel like the support is there for our students. So I know we appreciate that as well. So alone, we can do so little, but together we can do so much and in a quick amount of time too. So, but thank you. Do you have any questions or comments?
So why don't we start first with a round of applause for the presentation. Really the results. I think, you know, a lot of what you presented here today speaks to commitment and intention and empowerment, how those things can come together and really make a difference for our kids in the classroom, for the teachers, for the administrators. So thank you very much for the presentation and for showcasing the work that you guys did. I think it's really difficult to ignore multi-percentage point or double-digit percentage point improvements in just a marking period. So really commending you guys for that. I don't have any questions, but if any of the other board members would like to ask questions or speak up, please feel free.
I do.
Mr. Zucker.
You know what? This subject is close to my heart. I want to say, first of all, thank you to your department because the data shows growth. I don't think anyone can realize the personal growth that you make, your department makes, right? Multilingual learner to become a learner. And to take the child coming from another environment that doesn't want to come to school, or that doesn't feel comfortable in school. And you're, like Mr. Januzzi said, you're not only empowering a student, but what you're doing for the family or for the community is astronomical. Results that we're going to see, data comes and goes. I mean, I look at numbers all day, right? I did an evaluation of a student today that wasn't talking. I realized because there's a silent period of learning the two languages that the student is an A student, and the teacher didn't realize that. And it's what you are on the precipice of discovering such growth personally and communal growth for our not only our district but for our kids. I'm astounded. I'm humbled. So I want to thank you personally. I want to thank you professionally. And Dr. Freeman, I can only say I'm humbled by the incredible job and the presentation I've seen here today. Excellent.
I'm going to chime in too. This is great work, and I think we're all really excited about the success that we're seeing and the collaboration. And it's wonderful to see teachers and administrators and see engaged to help our kids. I was really excited in our board report this weekend to read about the PD for our staff about trauma-informed practices. I think when we have the multilingual conversations, sometimes we forget about the experiences some of our students bring to us and how that may impact their education. And I think in doing that work academically, socially, emotionally, like Roger said, you guys are really having an impact not only on the children's lives, but their families, our community, and we're doing a lot of really exciting things that I think are going to generate great results. So, thank you very much for your work and your dedication. It's really inspiring.
All right. Well, thank you again very much for the presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, before we move on, I just want to make sure that Mr. Gorski recognized that Mr. Minhas has joined us. So thank you, Danny, and we'll get the roll calls right as we go forward here. This brings us up to item number 3, which is our student board member report. Emmanuel, you're on.
Okay, so recently, the Skyline Conference, all team selections have come out for our fall sports. And we have over, I believe, down here, like 20 of our kids across soccer and football. So for Skyline Conference coaches all-star selections, honorable mention, I'll just go through these. Maylin Guzman as a forward. Third team, we have Brian Enriquez as a midfield. Second team, we have Emma Baker as defense, Karen Chak as midfield, Camila Murillo as forward, Brandon Solis as midfield, and Juan Pena as forward. And for first team, we have Rosie Spirian with midfield / defense, Suli Julian who's defense, Amy Navarro who's goalkeeper, Jahir Coca who's forward, Matthew Eliori for midfield, defense, and Aldo Abundich for goalkeeper. And we also have 2 recipients of the All-State Group 1 Award. We have Jahir Coca and Matthew Eliori. For football, we have, for the All-County, which includes Warren, Somerset, and Harding counties, we have third team Xavier Quesada as a defense puncher. Second team, we have Andy Perpignan as a defense linebacker. And first team, we have Grant Casino as defense lead. And then also we have third team defense, all big conference awards for Grant Casino and Andy Perpignan. Wrestling, I don't know if you've heard already, have a competition in the gym right now. So against South Hunterdon, I believe they're winning from all the cheers.
Sounds pretty good.
Track and field have a meet at East Stratford University on January 4th. They also attended the Ridge Winter Invitational at the Ocean Breeze in Staten Island on December 9th, where we had 3 medalists. Dylan Jean Baptiste in 4th place for long jump, Dawson Jean Baptiste in 3rd place for the triple jump, and Odie Mallett tied for 2nd place for pole vault with a height of 12 feet. For reference, at this meet, we had schools that span from Group 1 all the way to Group 4, competing with Ridge, Hillsborough, Montgomery, and the fact that we had 3 of our athletes medal against such teams just shows the commitment that our coaches have for our staff, or our kids. Boys basketball currently have a record of 2-1 with their next game on Friday in the gym against People's Prep at 6 p.m. And girls basketball currently have a record of 2-0 with a hard-fought game yesterday against Belvedere, going into overtime 5 different games, with their next game being tomorrow in the gym against Bernards. In school news, Bamberg High School hosted their alumni panel today with alumni spanning as far back as 1996 and 2006 for all grades in 2 separate assemblies, one for underclassmen and one for upperclassmen. The South Bolingbrook Tech Divas, the school's robotics team, qualified to the regional championship for their very first time, with the event having passed last weekend at Mount Olive High School. The annual Festival of Giving, hosted by the school's National Honor Society, will take place this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. in the Lafayette Gym. With assistance, I think they just won another one. With assistance from other organizations such as the Day by Day Foundation and the RBCC EOF program. There will be stations for little kids, donations, and food donations being given away in the spirit of Christmas and more. Bamberg High School is set to host 2 pep rallies for the underclassmen and upperclassmen respectively, which will take place across Friday in the gymnasium. As college applications are set to be due come the new year, Pembroke High School has hosted several information sessions for parents and students alike. Helping with the application process, filling out the FAFSA form with help from our guidance department as well as other staff members from the high school. In other news, I don't know if you guys heard the sirens last week, but Santa visited the streets of town with kids, and like I said, a ton of sirens, and the Christmas tree lighting on Main Street was done on November 27th. And lastly, the new student representative will be here come the January board meeting on January 8th with the vote, with the school vote being sent out next week or the week after winter break. Yes.
Thank you for the thorough report. And as we're talking about transition, just I want to acknowledge the fantastic job that you've done. You were our first student board member. I think it was a new position, a new experience for all of us, and we couldn't have dreamed of a better representative for the first time. So just want to make sure you know. Anything before we go on? Good job. All right. We are up to our committee reports. First up is education. Mr. Dawson, the floor is yours.
Well, we've got a lot of content to go over for the education committee. There's an assessment for students who are multilingual learners. We reviewed this Mr. Smith's presentation about the alternate assessments for the multilingual kids, the grading practices, and going into that data. So I don't want to repeat anything tonight. The committee was very excited about their progress that's going on.
Thank you, Mr. Dawson. Next report is governance, Mr. Bauer.
Okay, we do have a few things from governance this month. First, Mr. Ross came and gave us a nice presentation about the implementation of the rotating drop schedule at the high school. We are hoping to vote on that as a board by February, is the hope. Just to give you the really brief highlights, we would have the opportunity to go from 6,700 minutes in a year per class to 8,100 minutes per class, giving teachers 1,400 extra minutes with their students. The average, I think in the state, is 7,800 minutes per class. So we'd actually go from well below the average to above average per class. Student course load, therefore, would go from 8 to 7 classes. As you can imagine, we talked quite a bit about the rigor of having 8 courses as a high school student, especially without a population of so many other things going on in their lives. So to give them 7 courses as opposed to 8, and not to say that students can't take 8 if they want to, but they would have the option now, which could really help a lot of kids. Obviously, some things have to still take place. It's not locked in at this moment, but we hope that it will be very soon. So Mr. Ross has generously agreed to give us what he described as a 10-slide presentation to the board. He used the number 10, so we will look for 10 or less slides. It will not be 30 as his usual presentations are, we were assured. Also, we briefly discussed the committee that will be meeting with South Pembroke. At the time of our committee, we did not have an official date and time, but as of this week, we do. It looks like we will be meeting January 16th at 5:30 p.m. over in South Bend. Next, we are looking at other options to replace Class Dojo at this time. There are some more modern things out there. Nick has taken a look at a few of them. He, Laura Bishop and Nick both think that we should probably go with something called Parent Square. There are a lot of advantages over what we have now. Now there are some others that they want to look at, one called Aptogee as well. But Parent Square, just as a couple of things that we can do, parents who don't download the app, which can be a problem, can opt to get everything sent to them via text or email. It also translates into over 100 languages. So any language that a parent speaks, they will be able to receive the information as well. You can, this one's was a big favorite of Miss Musson down there. If you have students in multiple schools, you can set it up so that there's something called a daily diary, where you get all the information at the end of the day from all the schools in one message, instead of receiving 300 messages throughout your day. I have students at multiple schools too, so.
Ironically, mine are in the same school.
They are, but I remember you enjoyed it thoroughly.
I enjoy it.
And we would like to have that decided, we have a little bit more time, decided and hopefully start the migration process by July 1st. So Nick, I think, will be kind of making the recommendation after he looks at a few more, and we'll be deciding on that pretty soon. Next, we talked for really over the course of 2 months about online comments at board meetings. And I'm sure you guys have noticed we haven't had any in months and months and months. And most districts in the state have actually abandoned the process altogether. They're no longer even accepting online comments. So we feel as a committee, we are recommending that we do the same and forego that process from here on out. Obviously, people, the public is still welcome to come in person and give comments, but we would no longer be accepting online comments at this time. So that was our recommendation there. And lastly, this was not discussed at governance, but I do want to throw this out there. Training with Patty Reese. It was supposed to be tonight. When I contacted her, she said she was no longer available. I asked her about January. She told me that she is not available any nights in January at all. And then, just as we were sitting here, about a half hour ago, she emailed me back and gave me a list of dates where she is available in February. Unfortunately, none of them are our board meeting night. Not that you have to write all this down now, I can email it all out, but she's available February 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 13th, 24th, and 26th. Those are our choices. So if we want to do it in February, that I will send all that out, we'll try to get a date that works. Obviously, we're gonna have to come in for a separate meeting to do that, but we know our trainings are about an hour, so it won't be overly cumbersome. But as a broader point though, it seems like she's a lot busier than Gwen was, and it's gonna be harder to get her in district. So if we are looking for more trainings, I think we're gonna have to plan them further out. We're gonna have to know what we want, and we're gonna have to plan them probably 2 or 3 months in advance from now on. So I just wanted to put that out there so you guys were not gonna get, we need a training this month, what can you do when she shows up at our board meeting? I just don't think that's practical. So that's what I have. It's a little bit of everything from governance, so if you have questions, I will.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. Just one comment that I would add with regard to the board meetings. I think what we discussed was retaining the broadcasting part of it.
Yes.
So that it was still accessible for people to consume if they couldn't come to an attend meeting. And that we were only talking about eliminating the questions that could come in from the public online as that part of the format. And we would continue to make available the contact board form, which is available on the district's website, and anyone is available to use at any given point in time for correspondence to reach the board. So given that those things were out there, we really weren't getting a lot of activity on the live question side and the administrative effort associated with it. That's really where the recommendation is coming from. With that comment, I'll open the floor to questions.
For the training, we would have a quorum, that would have to be advertised as a meeting.
Yeah, we'd have to go through we'd have to do the public meeting statement, and it would be like a regular meeting. I doubt that the public would show up, but they are welcome to show up to watch us be trained if they would like. Yeah.
Would Zoom be an option?
I don't
Would that
know,
make
it's
it
actually a
easier
good
for
question,
them
would
to
Zoom be an option? I can ask, I don't know that we've done training over Zoom, and I can remember, but we can find out for you.
If getting here is.
Right, it might be easier to get everybody together, yeah, I'll check into that. She can project their screens, right, and her slides right on the screen.
All right, thank you for the report, Mr. Bowles. Since Ms. High is not with us tonight, I will just do a brief recap on the Human Resources meeting. As always, we started with a review of the open positions and where the status was in terms of recruiting for people to join us. We went through 2 new positions that were being proposed. One had to do with a secretary for the athletic department, the other, the strength and conditioning coach position, which I think that we've been discussing for a bit now. And progress on both of those has been made, and we're looking forward to seeing those progress early in the new year, next year. We had an update on the exit surveys. So as a reminder, there is a survey process for any district employee that is leaving. This was in addition to any one-on-one meeting dialogue that Dr. Freeman may have with them. And we were really pleasantly surprised with the progress and the comparative from this exit survey compared to the one last year. So significant progress being made there in terms of both retention and then the reasons why people leave the district. You'll see on the agenda tonight, there is a resolution involving stipends for the maintenance department. This is specifically for certifications that would allow them to perform services that you would otherwise need to subcontract to licensed providers. So while it may be additional compensation that we're providing to district employees, overall it has the potential to save the district significant amounts of money. And we actually have an employee who already has saved us a significant amount of money, well more than would otherwise be on the line for the stipend. So again, something that operations committee has endorsed. We discussed the school, I'm sorry, not operations committee, HR committee.
Either way.
There you go. School safety position has been something that has been discussed. It's a position that has evolved over time since it was originally created. So the HR department is looking at comparable job descriptions in and around the surrounding area to make sure that what we're asking for and what we are fulfilling in that position is well documented and aligned with what we need as a district. And I believe that is it. Any questions on human resources? All right, hearing none, then we are on to operations, Mr. Zucco.
Bless you.
Thank you.
So operations, was a great meeting. We went over a couple things. Talked about the situation at Lafayette with the basement. Mr. Gorski presented the committee an email from an architect, Paul, where he, and I'm quoting, "Not much has changed. It's been updated. A report was issued. Participation in the visual meeting. Water test of the masonry wall indicates the water is bypassing the metal flashing. The result is water infiltration in the basement. I still feel the brick shelf is not flashed. I realize excavating to verify the absence of flashing is disruptive. An alternative which can be explored is to cover the wall with a reinforced polyethylene sheet and leave in place. This would permit several rain events to occur and test the concrete. Mr. Gorski, do you want to add any comments on that before we go forward?
Thank you, Mr. Zucco. The only thing I can add to that is pursuant to the committee's request, I have requested a proposal from Mr. Mussoletto, the basement specialist, and I have not received it yet, but he's going to give us a proposal, and that will be for that sheeting to put on the inside of the wall and further analysis of what's wrong.
Awesome, thank you so much. We also talked about budget. The committee is presenting, Mr. Gorski informed the committee that he sent a letter to all district admin stakeholders, process for budget preparation and submission. Administrators have been asked to present their department or school budgets to Robin Griffin, first for her program, then the budgets will be presented to Dr. Friedman and Mr. Gorski for final review and incorporating the overall budget. December 10th is the submission to Ms. Griffin, and December 16th is the date for the final submission to Mr. Gorski, Dr. Freeman. Additionally, Mr. Gorski explained the process of mid-year budget review. Scheduled at the county office on December again. Talked about the Lamont School preschool expansion update. We're moving ahead of the expansion of modular addition planned for the 25-26 budget that will be prioritized as a lease purchase financing of the unit, which will be charged to the grant. If approved, the district will need to have 2 title searches performed from property boundaries. And again, Mr. Gorski, any little tidbit on that?
Just to reiterate the board's determination to put an addition on the Lamont Annex, which was proposed, be a modular school addition of 4 or 5 classrooms to be determined. And we're beginning that process now by doing a survey of the property to find out where exactly our borders are. And we'll be back to the committee shortly with more information.
Thank you, sir. Finally, the conclusion of the IRS levy and payment to the Board of Ed for state of taxes due. As attached, Mr. Gorski informed the committee that the IRS levied our electronic payment issued to the Board of Ed from the E-rate provider. The notice indicated that the IRS has the right to levy funds and payments to taxpayers to satisfy any outstanding government debt. The payment was $22,952 and it was redirected to the state of New Jersey. Mr. Gorski and his staff later contacted the state to determine that there was no indebtedness, but in fact, New Jersey was holding payments were erroneously applied to the wrong periods upon payment, and they were able to resolve the matter quickly. The state will now issue a refund to the district for the levy. Mr. Gorski has instructed the pay roll staff to carefully make sure that the payments that they are periodically making must be applied to the correct periods in the future. Possible disciplinary measures to be taken by the superintendent. And do you have anything on that, or are we? That is it.
The only thing I have to add is that this was a very aggressive tactic by the IRS to levy and lien on our E-rate transfer of funds back to the district, which is our application to get a piece of reimbursement from federal taxes on communication products. And they took a payment for about $23,000. They sent it to the state of New Jersey, who was claiming that we had indebtedness to them for the same amount for New Jersey withholding taxes. Upon putting a lot of time into this, my staff determined that there were some payments applied to the wrong periods, which have been straightened out, and that the full $23,000 that was levied will be returned to the district without delay.
Thank you, Mr. Gorski, for that addition. Mr. President, I have no more notes for operations.
Thank you, Mr. Zupko. Any questions or comments for operation? All right. There are no reports for the Somerset County Educational Services Commission or Zupko for this meeting, so that brings us to the end of the committee report. Any final comments or questions before we move on? All right. We are now open to the public for agenda items only. So in accordance with District Policy 0167, public participation in board meetings, members of the public are required to sign in at either the podium or online, provide their name, address, and group affiliation if applicable. The board, please state your name and address and limit comments to agenda items only directly to the presiding officer of the meeting. Each participant is allowed 3 to 5 minutes to speak, and no individual may address the same topic more than once until others wishing to speak have had the opportunity to do so. Are there any questions or comments from the room? I see none. How about online? Zero online. We are continuing the trend. That brings us to item number 6.1. Be it resolved that the Norfolk Board of Education, upon recommendation of the superintendent, approves the minutes of the following meeting, regular and executive session, meeting minutes from November 20th, 2024. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Dawson. A second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Mussing. Any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Gorski, can we do a roll call, please?
Certainly, Mr. Bell.
Abstain.
Thank you. Mr. Dawson.
Yes.
Ms. Casino.
Yes.
Mr. Zupko.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Volmer.
Yes.
And Mr. Januzzi.
Abstain. And can we just recognize Mr. Minhas as well?
Beg pardon, Mr. Minhas.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. We are up to item 7.1. Be it resolved that the superintendent recommends for approval the resolutions as outlined in district personnel resolutions. These are items 7.2 through 7.30. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Bowell, second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Zucco. Any discussion? Hearing none, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Bell.
Yes.
Mr. Dawson.
Yes.
Ms. Casino.
Yes.
Mr. Zupko.
Yes.
Ms. Musin.
Yes.
Mr. Minhas.
Yes.
Mr. Bowmer.
Yes.
And Mr. Janussi.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. We are up to item 8.1. Be it resolved that the Bountiful Board of Education approves the resolutions as outlined in district education resolutions. This is 8.2 through 8.13. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Bowell, second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Dawson. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Bell.
Yes.
Mr. Dawson.
Yes.
Ms. Casino.
Yes.
Mr. Zupko.
Yes.
Ms. Musin.
Yes.
Mr. Minhas.
Yes.
Mr. Bowmer.
Yes.
And Mr. Janussi.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item 9.1, be it resolved that the Bountiful Board of Education approves resolutions as outlined in board action resolutions. This is 9.2 through 9.38. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Bowell, second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Zucko. Any discussion? Hearing none, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Bell.
Yes.
Mr. Dawson.
Yes.
Ms. Casino.
Yes.
Mr. Zupko.
Yes.
Ms. Musin.
Yes.
Mr. Minhas.
Yes.
Mr. Bowmer.
Yes.
Mr. Janussi.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. We are up to other matters to come before the board. New business. Are there any topics that the board members would like to raise that are not on the agenda this evening? All right, we are up to item number 12.1, open to the public for discussion. I will forego reading the provision again, I'll save your ears for that. But just noting that this is open for both agenda and non-agenda items. Nobody from the room? Mr. Fittipaldi, do you have anything online? Zero online. Very good. We are up to item 13, be it resolved that the Bountiful Board of Education enter executive session as allowed by NJSA 10:4-11 for the purposes noted in items 1, 7, and 8. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Ballard. Second. Thank you, Ms. Musson. All in favor? Aye. We are currently adjourned to executive.
Oh, it's definitely darker in here.
All right, everybody, we are back up to item 14.1. We have resolved that the Bound Brook Board of Education approves the resolution as outlined in the cases under high school. This is item 14.2. Have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Battle. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Zupko. Roll call.
Mr. Bell?
Yes.
Mr. Dawson?
Yes.
Ms. Casino?
Yes.
Mr. Zupko? Yes. Ms. Musin?
Yes.
Mr. Minhas?
Yes.
Mr. Ballmer?
Yes.
Mr. Janusik?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item 15.1, be it resolved that the Bound Brook Board of Education approves the resolutions as outlined in approval of HIV cases under middle and elementary school. This is item 15.2. May I have a motion?
Yes. Motion. Any of those. You can't have a motion and I say motion.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Dawson. Roll call, Mr. Dorsey.
Mr. Bell?
Yes.
Mr. Dawson?
Yes.
Ms. Casino?
Yes.
Mr. Zupko?
Yes.
Ms. Musin?
Yes.
Mr. Minhas?
Yes.
Mr. Ballmer?
Yes.
Mr. Janusik?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. We are up to item 16.1, be it resolved that the Bound Brook Board of Education adjourns. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. A second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Zupko. All in favor?
Aye.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
All right, everybody.